Hi, everybody. This is Patti Negri, psychic medium and good witch, and welcome to the Witching Hour. I have an amazing guest for you today. Actually, probably, wow, top of the charts guest completely. I have the Johnny Zaffis. Yes, the godfather of the paranormal investigator, demonologist, star of the SyFy series, The Haunted Collector. He actually trained under his uncle, Ed Warren. So he's been around for hundreds of years, I think. And he's not that old, but he's been around a really long time. He's done everybody's show. He's had his own show. And he's the go-to guy of paranormal. I have the pleasure of knowing him and liking him. And now I have the honor of him being on my show. Okay, before I introduce you to Johnny, let me tell you a little bit about this week. If you are listening to this the week we first dropped, the week of September 20th, number one, it's fall. Tomorrow is fall. We actually hit fall. Happy autumn equinox for all you seasonal followers of the pagan path. And I'm just excited. It's one of my favorite times of year. And it's a great time because we're almost officially into Halloween season. Well, actually, we're into officially Halloween season all year for me. But as part of my Paranormal Network, we are doing the 13 weeks of Halloween. So make sure you follow us on myparanormal.net. We have all sorts of contests and giveaways and prizes. And with all of us, myself, Dean Haglin, Bridget Marcourt, the whole crew. So make sure you check out myparanormal.net because it is Halloween. Always. Also this week, we are getting into the traveling season because the veil is thinning. This week, coming this weekend is, yes, National Ghost Hunting Day, worldwide, world's largest ghost hunt. I'm going to be at a very haunted, very old house in Massachusetts, and I'm going to be doing two things. I'm going to be doing a very witchy, spellbinding weekend with some friends of mine from the Crooked Path. And I'm also simultaneously doing the world's largest ghost hunt with Maria. Also, my Paranormal Network is covering the whole thing. So all over the world, you're going to have me and, again, Bridget, all the My Paranormal favorites. So you could follow us on myparanormal.net, on all my pages, on the world's largest ghost hunt pages. So you just can't get enough ghosts this week. I have no specific classes this week because I will be in Massachusetts, but I do want to announce officially my new school. Yes, I've been teaching for a long time with Nick Bonanni of Haunted Diary. We are now rebranded, and it is now my school, along with Nick and my friend Father Sebastian, and we are University Magicus, Magickus. So look us up, universitymagicus.com. I'm teaching all what I've been teaching, and really great teachers all the way around. So check out University Magicus, check out myparanormal.net, and let's go hunt some ghosts. Okay, though I don't think she's in the mood. It's time for the Willow Report. She won't even look. She's so stubborn. For those of you who don't know a lot about dachshunds, they're very stubborn. They're very smart. They're very independent, and they're, in my opinion, the very, very best dogs ever. But whatever kind of dog you have, even if it's a rescue, I hope you think it's the very, very best dog ever. But I am definitively a dachshund person. I started out being a dachshund person years ago when I was working in my production company for the people who ran the wiener dog races in the 7 western states for Wiener Schnitzel hot dogs. It was one of their promotions. So I found myself in the middle of nowhere, Texas, surrounded with 200 of these funniest, shortest, little, not so good at racing dogs, and I fell in love. And I said, I must have a dachshund. This is my second one since then. And yes, and my first one lived a long, beautiful, very movie star life, and Willow hasn't moved into hers yet. Not quite yet. But dachshunds are very, very, very special dogs. Yes, they are hard when they are puppies, and anybody will tell you that. They are slow to train, not because they're stupid, but because they're smart and because they're stubborn. But once trained, they are perfect. So if you are maybe looking for a dachshund, I want to talk about some really great dachshund rescues. I think I'm going to add that to the Willow Report, since she obviously always isn't in the mood to show her best side. So one of them that I really believe in and I work with is the Sunny Oasis Rescue for dachshunds and friends, other dogs allowed too. It's in Riverside, California. There's a no-kill shelter there, but it's a really great place if you were looking for a doxy or a doxy misc or others. Sunny Oasis Rescue. They are always looking for support, as in every rescue. And every week, I'm going to start talking about other rescues because everybody needs their own version of Willow, sort of, whether they know it or not. Right, Willow? Why are you being such a naughty girl today? She flunked out of puppy school. Yeah. Well, it's not her fault. They moved her last class, and out of the 2 dogs in the class, her sides being the worst one there, they moved the class, and then I couldn't go because I was on an airplane, and she would have flunked out anyway. So I think we have to find her a new puppy school. She's going to repeat kindergarten. Yeah, that's my girl. Ah, love her anyway. That's the Willow Report. Okay, for our magic lesson this week, I'm bringing in an assistant, my 105-year-old haunted doll, Belle. Since we have Johnny Zaffis on, and he is a haunted collector, he has his own beautiful haunted museum, he is an expert in such things, I thought I would introduce you to Belle and then talk about the care and feeding of haunted dolls and haunted objects. They seem to be very popular right now between Zach, and who's known for his haunted doll and haunted doll collection at his museum, and Bloody Mary has hers, and Johnny Zaffis has his. And everywhere you go, you can find on the internet people selling haunted dolls. How many of them are really haunted? Use your intuition to figure it out. And honestly, just almost like when you're finding a psychic, if you are looking to buy a haunted doll online on eBay or something, kind of check out the seller on it. Just saying, because you don't want them to have gone over to Target and bought a doll and said they're haunted. Not that I can't teach you how to put a spirit in a doll, but that's a lesson for another day. Anyway, so if you do get yourself a haunted doll, there is a few care and feeding instructions. Spirits do like dolls. Not saying that here's some ghost can't go into this little pack of matches. I guess they could, or this, anything else. But if you were a spirit, wouldn't you choose to go into something with eyes and a nose and face and ears that you can talk to? I would. So dolls do tend to get haunted a lot. They're loved by people, they're held by kids along the way, and all that energy creates energy, and sometimes it pulls in ghosts. So now if you do have a haunted doll, be careful with it, because if it really is a haunted doll, you want it to be a positive haunted doll, or you want to switch it into it, because as exciting as a dark and scary haunted doll is, they drain energy. They literally can drain your energy. They can make you tired. They can give you what feels like bad luck. They honestly could even make you sick. So start out with giving your haunted doll rules. Remember, I always teach that this is our realm of existence. The other side has to play by our rules. People just don't know that, so they give away their power. So when I first got Belle, she was sent to me by a beautiful woman in Belgium. She had seen me on Ghost Adventures, or actually the spinoff on Deadly Possessions, doing a seance with Peggy the doll, a very haunted doll who gives people heart attacks. Yes, they had flown her in from Europe. I did a seance with her, and she figured if I could handle Peggy, I could handle Belle. This beautiful little Belle had made her sick for 3 years, made her little toddler sick for 3 years, made their hair fall out, made everything miserable, unless she put the doll in a drawer or in the shed, of which the doll didn't like but couldn't affect her. So she thought maybe the doll could use a better home. And that's a really good way to get things. If people know you are into the paranormal or ghosts or supernatural, any friends who have done it, let them know that you will take it if they're afraid of it. And then you'll get it. But again, so she sent her to me, and this shows how powerful that Belle was. I had never done a Facebook Live. So my very first Facebook Live ever, I thought I would open the box. I opened the box, and not any of my magic. 50,000 people watched this doll being opened. Not anything because of me, because of the energy within this doll. I've never got that many since, or even within decibel points of it. It's just the power of a haunted doll. Good or bad, power is power. So I got her out, and yes, she was haunted, but she did have something very, very dark attached. And the dark attached isn't necessarily a person ghost. It was like this other entity, this other energy. And then I didn't want my hair to fall out. I don't have that much hair. I don't want illness in my house or bad luck in my house for my husband, for my pets, for anything. So I banished that negative spirit. I knew if there was going to be a haunted doll here, there was going to be something underneath. So I did not let the sun set before I banished it. And that'll be another class, but lots of ways to do it. So all of a sudden, this beautiful little sweet girl spirit started coming out of Belle. All the bad stuff was gone, but this little girl who probably had kind of a rough life, as so often is the story, but she became a part of the family. But even so, when she was first, I am Belle, Belle came out, she was really draining. So I had to do things like keep her in a certain area of the house, use lots of protection items. With her, in her little broken fingers, I would put a little bag and I'd tie the herb rue. Rue is R-U-E. It's very protective. It's used in magic and spells all the time. That really helps. You might choose something else. You could use a black stone, a hematite, an onyx, a jet. You can use any other kind of herbs or protection herbs, but keep it with the doll, because even if you're getting the positive spirit or you're getting to know them, you want to make sure they're not draining your energy or causing anything until you know what you do. So anyway, I highly recommend everybody having a haunted doll if you like that sort of thing. But even just like with kids or pets, you got to keep them in line just a little bit with love, with respect. But remember, it's your house and it's your realm of existence. And then you guys can all live happily ever after, even though she moves on camera all the time. Did you see that? Yeah. I am so proud to introduce you to my friend, Johnny Zaffis. Yeah. Johnny is a paranormal researcher, TV personality, author, lecturer, and the foremost and respected demonologist anywhere in the world. He's consulted on cases all over the world. He has over 40 years experience as a paranormal investigator. And he currently runs the Museum of Paranormal located in Stratford, Connecticut. So he knows haunted stuff. I can tell you that. You've probably seen him on every television show out there. He has lots of amazing books, which I meant to bring one home from Michigan the other day, and my brain wasn't there. But without further ado, I am honored to bring you the Godfather of the paranormal. Welcome, John Zaffis. Hi.
Hi, Patti. Good to see you again. Just seeing you I was hanging out with you last weekend. We were having a blast.
I know.
We were having a good time. Yeah.
So thank you for coming on. I know you're a busy boy, a very busy guy, and we're getting into season, so I appreciate this time.
Oh, thank you for having me on.
So again, you really are the expert of the world for everybody. You've been around, you are respected, you are loved, you are educated. For my folks who don't know that, how did you get here? How did you even get into the paranormal?
Well, I was fortunate. I call myself a paranormal brat. I was born into this stuff. Now, Ed and Lorraine Warren are my aunt and uncle. So, growing up, Christmas time, Easter and everything, we used to hear ghost stories as kids. Myself and four of my little cousins that we all grew up together, we still look forward to Ed Warren coming over and telling ghost stories. And now Ed's mom used to live with us. Now, my mom and Ed are twins. A lot of people don't know that, but they were night and day. They did grow up in a haunted house. My mother was petrified of the paranormal. Ed loved it. So again, even though they were twins, they were total opposite when it came into a lot of these things. So at the age of 16, I had an experience. Now, I grew up in the 70s. I'm a flower child, and Patti, that's all I'm saying. But anyhow, it was a Wednesday evening. At the foot of my bed, there was a shadow form, transparent, shaking its head back and forth. So I immediately went downstairs. I started telling my mom about it, and she goes, "Did it say or do anything?" I said, "Well, it just shook its head back and forth." And she goes, "Well, Johnny, that was my father." And I go, "Mom, how do you know it was your dad, And she goes, "Well, you don't remember him. You were only 4 years old when he passed away, but he was a very stern man, and he would always be shaking his head back and forth, in a gesture of any type of communication." But Patti, the unique thing was, three to 4 days after that had occurred, my grandmother passed away. So that made me start to really delve into things, to start to think about things. It was like, do deceased loved ones come back to help people cross over? Yes, it does happen. It does occur. So again, witnessing it several times now over the past, up teen years, it's amazing that these things do occur and they do happen. And that's what opened everything up for me. And, getting involved with the paranormal. It wasn't until I was in my 20s that I got involved with learning the other aspect of it. But, and I was fortunate too. Again, Ed and Lorraine only lived 20 minutes north of us. And when my mom would make family dishes, bring this up to my brother, bring this up to my brother. Well, you know what? That just opened up another whole realm of things, because then they would be getting ready to go somewhere. He'd go, come on, kid, let's go. And my poor mom sometimes wouldn't know whether I was coming back that night or coming back the following day, because I would go do things with them. So it evolved, and it just kept, occurring, where that interest just kept building up and building up. And my uncle said to me at one point in time, he says, I already knew you were already going to get involved with all this. Mm-hmm. He said, I basically knew it. And I was like, looking back on it, because a lot of people say, well, how was it growing up with Ed and Lorraine? I don't know. It was my aunt and uncle, and they chased ghosts. What do you want me to tell you?
So did they take you with them on investigations?
Yes, there were occasions that, I would go with them, go do some investigations, or they would be going to assist in doing something with some of their spiritual friends. Through them, I got the opportunity to see rabbis, priests, Buddhists, ministers, shamans, and medicine men all perform different things. And that's what opened me up to the whole idea and the whole perspective of learning and understanding all the different belief systems and the different practices out there. Again, a lot of people say to me, they go, well, no, you're a demonologist. I go, yes, I do it, but, I'm very analytical. And you probably realize that after hanging around with me all this past weekend, wow, he's not exactly what I thought.
Woo guy, I'm always, you dance nicely between the left brain and the right brain, your logic and your intuition, your knowledge and your knowing. Yeah. So yeah, because you're there, you're obviously intuitive, you're obviously connected, you obviously know what's going on. So and I love, because I do too, I study religions and philosophies to try to put, because they're just what I always say, they're different templates that you're putting on. You find the energy below, and the more you know, the more better prepared you are.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So how did the collecting come? Did that come from Ed and Lorraine? Did
yes. Yes, that's how that started. I was with them. They went to go investigate this one case. The woman collected these little collectible statues, and she bought this one, and it was moving around. She was all freaked out over it. Ed and Lorraine had removed it. Ed did some prayers and holy water and stuff, and he took the statue and threw it into the back seat of the car. He goes, "You want that, kid?" And at that point, I was like, well, what am I going to do with this? But Patti, this was the time framing where we didn't have the internet, cell phones. We had nothing, So so what I did was, okay, go get books, start reading up on things. And, I was always intrigued with that. And, and then when I would see him, I go, I can't get over some of the most unique haunted things out there. And, these things existed for the longest period. And he would always just smile at me. Always just, when I would come back at him with these things. And, the one thing most individuals don't even realize, the most haunted item in the world, each and every one of us knows about it, the Hope Diamond. Think about it. The cursed Hope Diamond is something that everybody in the world knows about because of its history and, here. And then it just evolved from there. And, to this point, it's just like, I turned into where I probably, if I called hoarders right now, they would film 2 or 3 episodes in here.
I I get that. My husband looks at something, and I don't consent. I'm a collector, but not like that, and not mostly haunted stuff, just a little of everything and spiritual stuff. My husband, he sees something else arriving, but he's got like 300 drum kits, so he can't really talk. But so how can you tell? I mean, I can tell. I know you're very, very gifted, but how can somebody sell? Because you're on eBay now or the internet, and there's 800,000 haunted dolls for sale, and which I'm sure a lot of them. You go to Toys R Us, you dirty up a doll and say it's a haunted doll. How can people tell? How do you tell it's something really is haunted?
It's very difficult. One of the key things is that when working on a case, I like the hands-on feeling of everything, Patti, because you need to intermingle with people and go back and forth. But a lot of times when anybody can get a temperature difference around an item, we can get an EVP, or these are the things that we look for. Now today, you'll love this. I just got done working on this one case this weekend, Patti, and it has to do with a collectible photograph. It had Elvis Presley and oh my gosh, Johnny Cash. And it was this particular memorial thing around this whole picture. Very influential family, Patti. 3 members of the family had owned this particular item, and all of them ended up passing away. Well, this person ended up inheriting it, putting it up on their wall, and it looked like somebody punched it. Now, how often, and many of us will take that step back, here I'm dealing with a very influential individual. They own all kinds of businesses and everything. They're not interested in, this type of thing. But the woman was so scared and so petrified of this particular item that, she said, John, I'm doing what I need to do and packing it up and, shipping it off to you. Please just put it in your museum. This happens continuously, Patti, when dealing with people. When you deal with, people that own businesses, lawyers, doctors, successful people, they don't have an interest in creating, a ghost story, if you will.
Right.
So, yeah. So I would look at that. There's several ways of looking at things, whether to determine something, to be haunted or whether it isn't. And, to be perfectly honest, sometimes you really just don't know.
Right. No, I know. So again, now you bring that, is your museum in your home?
It is on my property. It's in a barn on the property.
So do you use like protection techniques around it to keep the stuff from your house or to keep within it? Do you do any?
Yes. There's actually 2 barns on the property. The smaller barn, when items do arrive or anything, I put them in there for bindings and cleansings and things like that. And a lot of my spiritual friends, when they come over to visit, I'll ask them to do, rituals, prayers, bindings, and different things continuously. So, I believe in the positive from all different directions. You know what? Anything, bring it on in, and, I'm all for it. So that it's a continuous thing. I think anyone that gets involved with a lot of these things, that spiritual aspect is an extremely important element to, be able to take that step back and realize what you're getting involved with and how you're dealing with it.
Right. I agree wholeheartedly. I remember, again, my one little haunted doll, Belle, she was sent to me several years ago now by a girl who saw me doing a seance with Peggy the doll, a pretty haunted doll now in Zach's museum. Mm-hmm. That she used to be owned by Jane Harris, and she gave people heart attacks, and they'd flown in somebody to give a heart attack. And she had seen me doing a seance with her, and she goes, if I could handle Peggy, I could handle Belle. Mm-hmm. So she shipped it off with my permission at Belle. And the power of these things, this is what blew me away, because I'm a magic collector. I'm a ritual piece collector. Here's this doll. And I go, I had never, ever, ever done a Facebook Live before. Not once, it's social media is what you do. I'm like, well, I'm going to open her up on camera. And I have a lot of followers, but not that many followers. The power in this doll, 50,000 people watched me open this doll, where I'm usually 300, maybe up to 1,000, 50,000 people from the doll. Got her out it was dark. I wouldn't let the sun set because it had made the girl who had her, made her hair fall out, made her toddler sick for 3 years unless it was in the shed and all this stuff. That's why I ask about protection. So I did banish the dark spirit, and then within it, this beautiful little nice haunted thing came out. This little girl spirit, which kind of slowly came out. But even with her, she was so draining. Again, I'm a witch, so I work with herbs and oils and all this. I had rue in her hand. I would put all these little bundles of the herb rue or the plant rue and all these things and stones to keep her from draining my energy. I had, again, now the bad stuff is out, but I had a friend with kind of like not overly serious, but serious, like heart fibrillation, would put her into like heart fibrillations, like not on my house, not on my watch. So they do tend to take your energy, or they can.
Oh, I definitely believe in the simple fact of that. With something, again, we always deal with energy. That's the key thing. Energy can never be destroyed. But, when you start dealing with something and it has an intelligence to it, it makes you take that step back and look at things a little bit more differently. When dealing with an item that is haunted or something like that, do I honestly believe that it can drain the energy from people that are around it? Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind by that can occur. I mean, we know buildings, property can do it. We all have these, things that we've been involved with where you could go to a location and you could be there, for a short period of time and you just feel extremely drained, like all your energy, you got zapped. That's, I call it getting zapped. All of us use that term quite often. So again, that's a very common thing. And when people tell me that tells me immediately a lot of times we could be dealing with something that is haunted. Now, again, to follow up a little bit about what you were talking about, you feel it's a little girl spirit there. I believe a lot of items are haunted by human spirit. I honestly do. I don't think everything is negative, and that I just don't. I never look at things from that perspective. So to me, when I deal with something and we're dealing with the human spirit, that makes it a lot easier for all of us when dealing with that than having to deal with something on a negative level.
Yeah, no, I do the same thing. I think it could be a human spirit. It could be a non-human spirit. Got to get an elemental energy around it. And of course, there's the demonic thing. I say this all the time. I think demons get way too much credit. I think, part of what people go, it's demonic. I don't think it is. When it's demonic, it's not like it's a cranky ghost, really, or something.
Well, okay, Patty, there's a good thing too. For people, a lot of times people don't understand, years back, yes. Have I evolved? Yes, I'm going to say that because that's a key element with our work. We have to keep evolving and learning. When somebody would get scratched or pushed or shoved, right away, we always thought it was something, demonic or evil. You know what? If a person was a mean, rotten person in life, they're going to be like that in spirit form. So again, I take that step back to evaluate cases or evaluate situations when we get involved with them, because sometimes we just don't know. We have to, analyze it, go in, check it out, and see exactly what the heck are we dealing with.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. So do you notice, because I like to ask people in our business this too, do you notice that what I call the veil between the worlds is definitely getting thinner these days?
Absolutely. We are in such a different era. I a lot of times, and I go back and forth with so many different people, and it's almost like when everything hit with the COVID, our whole world changed. And I don't know if something new opened up. I don't quite comprehend it. I don't quite understand some of it, but a lot of us refer to it as the shift. There was a shift that took place. And we're seeing it escalate now. We're seeing so many different things change. It's a totally different world. I think so many of us are going back out into today than when, a year and a half ago when all of us started staying home.
Right. I agree wholeheartedly. And more, I'm sure you're getting more and more calls, more and more haunted. And I guess there's something to it that, again, the paranormal is big in media, and how many more ghost shows you have, people are all going to have that awareness there in their house. But it really is. I personally experiencing and seeing more things than ever. So whatever that is, it's pretty cool. It's cool so long as we know how to handle it. But I guess that's why it's people like you being around and me and people, for all those lawyers and doctors and people who want nothing to do with it, that they don't just stuff it in a corner, or they can get the help they need.
Yeah. I think it's just something we're going to learn, and something that I think we're going to see as we're moving forward now, that there's going to be a difference. There's definitely going to be a difference.
So, yeah, I think so too. So I suppose that would even increase in everything, haunted objects, good and bad, and I guess the demon world. So as a demonologist, I'm not a demonologist. I work, I've done, but I don't use that title or close to it. Do you work in a specific, or do you throw everything in one pot of different belief systems, or how do you work? Like, I work elementally. A Catholic priest is going to work one way, as somebody else. How were you trained, or how do you do it? Did you develop your own style?
I think I kind of developed my own style. I think that's what evolved from everything. Now, I am Roman Catholic. Am I a practicing Roman Catholic? Yes. And if I go in and I'm going to deal with something on, a belief system of Christianity, I'm going to handle that one way. But, so many people today, they don't have a foundation or look at organized religions. That's our world today. So therefore, okay, that's fine. I'm not interested in judging people. I have no interest in that whatsoever. But when you're dealing with something and people are having supernatural activity, you got to, take that time and sort through things to figure out, how are we going to be able to process this? How are we going to move forward, with a lot of these different things? I'll make my suggestions, and whatever a person chooses to do, that's okay with me. I mean, I have no issues one way or another. That in the running, funny thing is that so many people, that they say that to me, you intermingle with everybody. I said, you know what? I said, I have more Wiccan, pagan, witch friends probably than I do Christian friends. I would be surprised by that today. It's the nature of it, and it's our world, and people are comprehending and understanding of a lot of different things. And that's a good thing. That's how we learn. That's how we advance with different things, to understand a lot of old, different traditional things that, affect people.
Right. I steal from everybody. Like, oh, that works, and this works, and this bit of Judaism, and this bit of Christianity. Again, to create my own thing as you create your own thing. And I agree, again, wholeheartedly. And I like that everybody's working together, and there's not just, that's what the whole planet needs in every which way possible, let alone getting into the paranormal world and how you deal with spirits and stuff. It is the same, because I do see energy. So it's again, what template you put it on top, what you figure out how you're going to work is your roadmap. So I'm doing it a Roman Catholic way. I'm doing a mix between, science and Buddhism and New Age peoples and this and that. But it's your working template, how to navigate. To me, it's just navigation. I make up my own maps, but I'll take from everybody else's map.
Well, I think it's important because that, there's not power in knowledge, and that's the way I view things and the way I look at it. Because I love it when I get into these in-depth conversations with different people that do things or practice different things, and again, I just get amazed and people just go, but you don't judge. I said, no, that's not what it's about. I'm a paranormal investigator. I said, I'm looking at this from a lot of other people's views too. And what is the key thing, Patti? We're all looking for? We're looking for that scientific proof. Yeah. And, I always look at everybody and go, we're not there yet, guys. And they'll go, well, what do you mean by that? I go, scientific proof, you need repeatability. And unfortunately, Casper the Ghost doesn't always want to repeat what it just did. So therefore, we can't chart it. But again, getting all this stuff, I mean, all the equipment out there today, Patti, I don't even know how to turn half of it on.
I, I like when somebody else uses it because you can like prove what I see. If I'm in the one room going, the ghost is going like this, and I'm saying it, and then there's a camera in another room that I can't see, and they've got an SLS camera where the ghost is going like this,
Yeah.
but don't ask me to operate it. I mean, we couldn't even sign here, and I couldn't shut up Siri on my computer. It's like I don't, but I do love technology, and I do think magical world, spiritual world, and science is coming together, getting into quantum. It's like it's all coming down to numbers, really. So probably the romance will all come out, but what it is will never will. So why do you think that everybody is? Why are we intrigued with what's out there, what we can't see, what we can't know?
Because there's so much. I think people look. I think people are searching. People are looking. People want answers. You know, again, in my belief system, is there a heaven and hell? Yes. Do I really know that? No. I can't sit here and tell you there's brimstone and fire down below. I can't tell you there's a big fluffy cloud that is up above. I can't tell you if there's different planes, there's different things that we believe in. I mean, again, I look at everything. I don't rule out UFOlogy, cryptozoology. All of these things fascinate me. I sat one night looking for the Loch Ness Monster, right on the lock. And, unfortunately, no, never saw anything, but I was hopeful. But, again, that to me is what it's about. I think today, even I get very fascinated with the younger people. I do a lot of colleges and universities. And the questions that they ask you today, Patti, are things that you stand there and you go, you just get amazed by it. Yeah. So many of them today are interested. They learn, they go in the background, they research, and it's just amazing. Totally amazing how our younger generation is more adapted to a lot of the different techniques, the equipment, the questions, and it just always fascinates me, with that, with the hearing the kids talk about it today.
Yeah, they are different. I do colleges and stuff. They think different. Everybody say Gen Z, Gen X, versus the baby, and they think different. They look different. They want different. I love it. They are going to take into this new world, which is a different world than ours. And so hopefully we're just preparing them good enough, and then we'll kick them off to go. Yeah. Yeah. And I think why we do, it's like what I like about this world, as noisy things go on outside, I can't control. They're not ghosts, they're saws. So forgive that. But what I like about the paranormal world and why people are into it, because it brings back a sense of mysticism. If some people don't want religion or spirituality, but for those who don't, we need to know more than this is it, black and white. That our modern Western society is so left brain. It's so matter of fact, laser beam this, laser beam that. It brings the unknown. It just, to me, it's romantic and mystery. It's like bringing art back into schools, having this magic that we don't know everything.
Well, again, another key element to early training. I used to go to England and Scotland with Ed and Lorraine. Now, Patti, the way the other countries revere the paranormal compared to the way we do, it's mind-boggling. Especially in England and Scotland, if you don't have a ghost, there's something wrong with you. Everything's haunted over there. But they revere it differently. They respect a lot of the, traditional ways of these buildings that are hundreds and hundreds of years old. And they go, no, that they were here before we were. And they look at it. I could still remember it. I think I was in my 30s the first time I ever went. And I had to comprehend all that when we came back at that point in time. I think that was in the 80s, on how different they view it compared to the way we do here. It's so different. Yeah. And it's a comfortable feeling, when they're dealing with it, or there's, oh no, that was just Aunt Tilly that moved that. That's okay. Yeah. I was so amazed by it, but it made me stop and take that look at the big picture of how everybody, all the other countries revere, the supernatural and the paranormal compared to the way we do here in the U.S.
We
Yeah.
don't. So maybe again, paranormal is a door into that. Whether they stay with we're ghost hunters or not, I think it is a way into that mysticism of some sort, the unknown, the mystery. I
Hmm.
think it makes me happy.
Yeah.
Again, I've seen so many people. It's like I don't want this. I don't want. Okay, let's go do that. Um, so have you and again what I Europe is cool too because it's old. I'm West Coast girl. We don't have anything old. You're East Coast. You have things that are hundreds of years older than we have. um and that's why I heading east now and then all the way to Europe because here the only thing old we have, which that's where we first met, is Virginia City. The oldest
Hmm.
thing we have is old mining towns because that's all we had back then. So that's great, but we're going, ooh, it's over 100 is a big deal for us. So I
Hmm.
remember the first time going back east and going, oh, there's so much more here. It's like a book that's been written that much longer. And then you get over to Europe into Castle something, and it's like, oh, and there's more decades.
I love traveling abroad, just walking down these streets where you have these buildings that haven't been touched in hundreds and hundreds of years. I mean, it brings you back in time.
Yeah.
And I love just walking through and experiencing a lot of the different things. I mean, I think again, on my bucket list, there's just so many places. I want to go to Greece, Italy. I want to see the pyramids. I mean, there's still a lot on my bucket list, and people go, wow, you've never done that? No, never had. It's just never had the opportunity, to be able to do things like that. But again, it's something I look forward to that maybe somewhere down the road to be able to do something like that. I mean, can you imagine that just walking through all those old ruins? And I don't
Yeah.
know if you've ever been to any of those places or not.
I want to go to Egypt. I haven't been to that many places, but I have been to Greece, and you feel it when you step into that, the Parthenon and these temples, and you feel every bit of it. But I've got 1,000 places on my bucket list because I haven't been that many places. Just lucky enough that was one. Plus, don't you feel the different in the ground? Just like we say, oh, the space is haunted. Whether it's an old Indian burial ground or things like in LA, I think downtown LA where the Cecil is, it started out with what's underground. Do you notice that in places that you go, how much of it really comes up, the vibration of the earth itself?
Um, I probably just never really paid attention to it, Pat. Again, when I think that with me going into old places or abandoned places or historical places, I just try to take it all in, if that makes any sense to you.
Oh
Because
yeah.
it's like a lot of times I'll just stand there and go, if these walls can talk, if they could just tell us some of the history or some of the, events that transpired, and that to me has always been one of the, an intriguing, type thing. Um, I'm going to share this with you. The Conjuring House. Everybody knows the Conjuring House today.
Haven't been.
It's, oh, you got to get there. It is haunted. But, I was back in the Conjuring House way back with Jason and Grant in season 2 of, Ghost Hunters. And it was one of my very first times, going there. But that, again, too, that piece of property, it ties in with what we were talking about. The original piece of property was 1,000+ acres. How many different things occurred, and some of that energy, focused in towards that particular building. And walking through there and going through it and everything, just like what you're saying, it hits you because
Yeah.
it just goes back in time. And again, I love that. I enjoy doing things like that. I love it because you could just be standing there and it's almost like, wow, you can almost go back in time. It's so, historic in there.
And you can feel it, you could smell it, you could taste it. And to me, that's all of that. It's completely different than walking into a Walmart. It's
Mhm.
like, ah.
Yeah.
So have you experienced anything either sent to your museum or in your museum or on investigation that was like too scary for you?
Um, I think probably was a good 33 years ago when I did the haunting in Connecticut. And, something had come down the staircase, was fully formed. It was very transparent, huge. And it just kept saying, do you know what they did to us? Do you know what they did to? Well, at that point in time, that was my first encounter with seeing an actually fully formed, what I would say was a demon at that point, and that really rattled me. It shook my world. For 3 days, I wouldn't talk to people. I wouldn't take telephone calls, nothing, because I had to process that at that point. See, I'm one of those types that, you could tell me 1,000,001 stories, and I love them. I love hearing the stories, but once you experience it and once it happens to you, that's no longer a story. That's part of your reality now. You experienced it. So therefore, you have to process that whole thing and incorporate that and go, wow, it all comes together. But that was probably one of the most significant things that made me take that step back and almost made me decide at that point that I just didn't want to be involved with doing any more paranormal work.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, this stuff's real. This stuff isn't, all in people's, minds or anything. It occurs and it happens. And, to this day, 33 years later, I haven't been back in that house since.
Really?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, okay. Not that I don't think it's haunted anymore. I honestly think they got it cleared and everything. But, my wife always tells me it's a guy thing. We block things and we just, that's how we deal with it. But I don't know. I don't know if I want to walk in that front hallway again and relive that moment. I don't know if it's something I don't know. I don't know. But, like I said, there's been a couple of very, very close encounters where the opportunity almost came in where I could have, but it never worked out. And I would always go, see, it's not meant to happen. It's not meant to happen. It's not meant, that's the way I look at it. But, dealing with experiencing things or seeing shadow forms or things like that, Patti, I don't react to a lot of stuff anymore. I don't know if I just got numb to the fact of a lot. I don't know, but so many experiences, so many different things over the course of the years. And then, just, randomly sitting, talking or something, I'll go, oh yeah. And I'll start talking about this to somebody. I go, you could just remember something out of I go, well, I don't retain all that. I just block it all out. That's how I deal with a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, I think you're getting used to a thing. Me too. It's like when weird things happen that somebody else would fall over. It's like, oh yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
If you're a brain surgeon or a surgeon of any sort, you don't want to keep fainting when you see blood for the first time. Probably the first time you do in medical school, you do, but you got to get past that if you do what you do. So that's right. And you're like me. I can tell you like a challenge.
Yeah, I normally, again, when confronting things or dealing with things, I have a tendency, especially when I'm doing my investigations, I get very quiet. And people get nervous around me when I start getting too quiet. And it's not the fact that, I'm fearful of something, but I'm trying to process and I try to evaluate a lot of times what is occurring, what is happening, what's tying in with this, what triggered it. So again, that's how I move through the motions. Now, with me, and I'm even like this today, that if I do experience something or something happens, it's like 2 or 3 days later I react to it. And my clergy friends go crazy over that. They go, we watch you, and then 2 or 3 days later you react to something. You call up and go, I can't believe that happened, or this happened or that happened. They're going, John, that happened 3 days ago. But that's how I process things and look at things. And I've often been told by a lot of people that's to my benefit, that I'm able to do that and not react in the moment. So I don't know.
Right. And again, I still think that's what makes you professional. If you were the guy out there to get rid of stuff or tell them what's going on and you ran out screaming all the time. Yeah. Oh, so we have a Halloween coming up. We're getting close. We're into fall. And in my pagan belief system, the veil gets thinner and thinner and thinner all the way up to Halloween, which is Samhain, that the New Year's when the veil is the thinnest. And a busy season for me, for both of us, I'm sure. Do you have anything special coming up for this Halloween or the season?
Well, I definitely. I have a convention next week up in Quincy, Mass. The Paracon. Looking forward to that next weekend. We'll be out in Nevada. I think we're both actually, Patty. I think we're both on that one, aren't we? The one in yeah. Okay, in the beginning of October. Yeah.
Yeah.
And naturally, when October usually rolls around with me, especially the last 3 weeks, I don't usually have the opportunity to do too much because I'm usually out on campuses lecturing or, doing that with the month of October. Because people laugh at me and they'll go, "Do you even decorate for Halloween?" I go, "Not since all my kids are grown up." No, because nobody's here. I'm usually out on the road, so I don't, put any of my old crazy Halloween things up. But I usually keep very busy. Usually, that time of year is for all of us. We're out doing things. All the TV shows are kicking in and ramping up, and you got that. So many days to Halloween. I get a big kick out of when I'm in the hotel rooms watching, a lot of the different shows and things. So
we're doing that right now on what you are on right now. My new network, my paranormal network. We are counting down the 13 weeks to Halloween. We're having people happy dance. Halloween happy dance. But yeah, it is fun. I think it's becoming the world's favorite holiday, whether they're into paranormal or not. It's kind of fun, because you don't have to buy presents. It doesn't have to be religious. It's just kind of you don't have to cook turkey. I don't know. I know a bunch of people who aren't into our world, and it's still their favorite Halloween, or their favorite time of year. And
same thing here. Yeah.
It is very, very magical. So, wow, time is flying. I hate that. I have so many questions to ask you, but I'm going to have you come back. Will you come back?
Absolutely.
And I'm going to see
anytime, my friend.
You at Vulture City Paracon, and who knows, probably all sorts of other places. We met at Virginia City. A lot of things with the name City on the back, because that's the West. That's all we have. We have conjuring houses. So how can people find? I'm sure all my people have fallen in love with you like I have, and then most of them already have. But how can people find you, connect with you?
The easiest thing to do with me is just put johnzaffis.com in. It takes you into, one of my sites that takes you into the museum site, the store, and all my books and all my other stuff is on there and everything that I get involved with. And, that is the easiest way to get me. Or Facebook. I usually post on there what events will be coming up or, where we're going to be. And, it's about the best thing I could tell people. johnzaffis.com, and you'll find me.
Okay, so everybody check it out, johnzaffis.com. Again, it's a joy and an honor because, again, so long respected and loved, and you're just such a nice guy. Besides being so smart and educated and gifted, we are lucky to have you in this world. So thank you, sir.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you very much for having me on your show. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being on The Witching Hour.
My Paranormal Network.